Today, the pace is different for Michael Douglas. The Oscar-winning actor wakes up to the stillness of his New York estate, a place where the city's noise stops at the gate, and privacy finally feels real. Morning light cuts across the stone terrace, coffee is poured without rush, and the man who once lived on film sets now moves through quiet hallways with a slower rhythm. This estate isn't about display. It's where wealth becomes comfort, and fame steps aside for a life that feels fully his own. And behind that calm exterior is the kind of financial foundation only decades of disciplined work can create. Michael Douglas sits on an estimated $350 million net worth, a number built not from one era of success, but from 5 decades of consistent, high-value work. His wealth starts with acting, blockbusters across the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, then grows sharply through producing, back-end deals, and smart real estate moves that quietly added millions over time. His acting paychecks alone read like a financial timeline. He earned $15 million for Basic Instinct, another $15 million for The American President, $20 million for The Game, $20 million for A Perfect Murder, $5 million for Wonder Boys, and $10 million for Traffic. Add decades of steady salaries from studio films, prestige projects, and TV hits, and Douglas has generated well over $200 million in acting income across his career. Producing became his second financial engine. His breakout came early with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, 1975, which won Best Picture and paid him a share of the film's long-term profits. Later productions, Romancing the Stone, The Jewel of the Nile, The China Syndrome, brought both box office revenue and industry leverage. Across 40-plus years behind the camera, Douglas's producing income is widely estimated in the tens of millions, with evergreen titles that still generate royalties. The 2010s introduced a new revenue stream, major studio franchises and prestige television. His role as Hank Pym in Marvel's Ant-Man series earned him sizable multi-film checks. Industry estimates place his combined MCU earnings in the $8 to $12 million range, behind the Candelabra and the Kominsky method, added awards, prestige, and reliable TV salaries, reinforcing Douglas's ability to earn at a high level, even in his late career. Real estate is where his money settles and grows. He owns, or has owned, some of the most valuable residential properties across the U.S. and Europe. His 250-acre Mallorca estate, Sestaca, was purchased for $3.5 million and listed at various points between $32 to $60 million. In New York, he bought a Westchester estate for $11.3 million and later sold it for $20.5 million, clearing a profit of nearly $9 million. He and Catherine Zeta-Jones also acquired an Irvington home for $4.5 million, now listed for $12 million. Add a Central Park apartment and a long-time Bermuda property previously listed at $10.6 million, and his total real estate footprint easily surpasses $50 to $60 million in value. Other portfolio pieces, investments, royalties from classic films, and long-term back-end points add a quiet but steady layer of income. Each year, these combined streams likely bring Douglas $8 to $10 million in passive earnings alone. Altogether, Michael Douglas's wealth reflects discipline more than extravagance, a career built on major paydays, smart production bets, and real estate that appreciates quietly. It's the financial architecture behind the private, steady life he now leads inside his New York estate. New York mansion. Michael Douglas's home in Irvington, New York, sits quietly on 10 acres along the Hudson River. It's a 1929 brick mansion worth about $12 million, but the feeling of the place isn't lavish, it's peaceful. After decades of living in hotels, movie studios, and city apartments, Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones chose the property for something they rarely had: room to retreat. Even the driveway sets the tone. It's long, simple, lined with tall trees, with no gates or grand entrances. By the time the house appears at the end of the road, the noise of the outside world is already gone. The exterior looks warm and grounded, with brick walls, stone accents, and a dark roofline that makes the house feel lived in rather than polished for show. A long terrace stretches along one side, more than 100 feet of quiet space where Douglas often begins his mornings, sipping coffee and watching boats glide across the Hudson. It's a routine that fits the rhythm of his later years, slower, gentler, private. Inside, the home carries the same softness. The entry hall has wood floors, warm lighting, and walls filled with family photos instead of designer pieces. The living room is bright thanks to wide river-facing windows, and in the evenings the fireplace turns the space into a comfortable family corner. Nothing feels arranged for effect. Everything feels used and familiar. The kitchen opens directly to the backyard and naturally becomes the heart of the house. Catherine often reads by the window. Douglas steps outside for fresh air or to think through a script. Breakfast in the dining room happens slowly. Sunlight through the windows, no rush to clear the table, a mood built around comfort rather than display. Even with 8 bedrooms and more than 11 bathrooms, the house never feels overwhelming. The master bedroom stays simple and bright, surrounded by trees. But the room that means the most is the 2-story library. Bookshelves cover both floors of the library, and a spiral staircase leads up to the 2nd level. By the window is a piano, where his son practices most afternoons. Douglas usually sits on a leather chair nearby, quietly watching him play as the soft afternoon light falls across the keys. The sound drifts through the house, filling it with a kind of family warmth that money can't buy. Downstairs, the indoor pool is bright and modest, framed by large windows overlooking the greenery. The gym is small but practical, just enough space for a daily workout without leaving home. Nothing here is oversized. Everything is designed to make daily life comfortable. Outside, the backyard blends open lawn with quiet woods, feeling more like a private park than a showpiece estate. Evenings are steady and calm. Dim lights, soft jazz from an old speaker, the fireplace warming the living room. When friends visit, the gatherings stay small. Slow dinners, long conversations, no crowds, no theatrics. The house encourages its own slower rhythm. What makes the Irvington Mansion special isn't its price or its scale. It's the life it gives Douglas. After decades of non-stop work and constant travel, the river, the trees, the warm floors, and the music from the library create a quiet rhythm he didn't always get to enjoy. Here, he isn't the Hollywood icon. He's a husband, a father, a man who has finally found a place that feels like his own. And just beyond these quiet rooms waits a different part of his world. The cars he keeps for the moments when he still feels like moving fast. Car collection. Welcome to Michael Douglas's small garage, where he carefully chooses cars based on how he drives, how they feel, and how they fit into his quiet life. Starting his day with energy, he uses a Mercedes-Benz GLS, a large SUV that costs around $80,000. Its strengths lie in comfort. A smooth V6 engine, an air suspension that absorbs most road noise, and a cabin so quiet it's almost insular. Douglas uses it for daily trips, to the grocery store, into town, picking up family, when he needs quiet rather than attention. For something a little more daring, he owns a Mercedes G63 AMG, a 6-wheeled machine worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. With a twin-turbo V8, locking differentials, and military-grade ground clearance, the car was built to climb, crawl, and traverse terrain that most other cars couldn't reach. Douglas doesn't use it often, but when he does, usually on quiet weekends, it reminds him of the thrill and freedom he enjoyed as a young man. The most personal item in his garage is his Mercedes W111 Cabriolet, worth between $150,000 and $250,000. Its appeal comes from the balance, elegance, and effortless motion of a true classic. On warm afternoons, Douglas drives with the top down, Catherine sitting beside him, the Hudson breeze wafting through the cabin. What matters to him isn't performance, but the slow, familiar rhythm it provides. For nights out in Manhattan, he opts for a BMW X5. Known for its near-perfect soundproofing and near-weightless suspension, it glides through the city unnoticed. For a man who has spent decades in front of the camera, those smooth, quiet rides are the luxury he treasures most. Together, these cars reflect Douglas's quiet priorities: comfort, routine, and moments that are personal, rather than loud. Every choice is intentional. And that quiet intention also shapes another part of his life, how he gives back, often quietly, but with an impact that extends far beyond his own path. Philanthropy. Michael Douglas rarely talks about charity, but his track record is one of the strongest in his generation. Through the Douglas Foundation, established by his parents in 1964, and later led by Michael and Catherine, more than $118 million has been distributed to over 200 nonprofits across the United States. The grants focus on hospitals, children's programs, public schools, and community arts centers, with Douglas himself contributing an estimated $2 to $3 million of personal funds each decade to keep the foundation active. His longest-running commitment is to global peace. As a United Nations Messenger of Peace since 1998, Douglas has supported nuclear disarmament efforts for more than 20 years. He has helped raise awareness through UN campaigns, and donated an estimated $1 to $2 million to groups like the Plowshares Fund. one of the leading organizations working to reduce nuclear threats worldwide. After surviving cancer, Douglas turned his attention to health causes. He partnered with the Oral Cancer Foundation, filmed nationwide PSA campaigns, and privately donated $300,000 to $500,000 to research teams and treatment centers focused on prevention and early detection. His name also supports the Michael Douglas Pediatric Brain Tumor Research Center at UC San Francisco, where he contributes yearly to keep research programs running. His giving extends to the entertainment community as well. Through the Michael Douglas and Friends Celebrity Golf event, he helped generate more than $6 million for the Motion Picture and Television Fund, providing financial and medical support to actors, crew members, and retirees in need. The events mix charity and sport, but for Douglas, they're simply a way to give back to the industry that shaped his life. He also supports the arts quietly. At UC Santa Barbara, he helped fund visiting artist programs and education grants, contributing roughly $250,000 to $300,000 over the past decade. Smaller community theaters in New York and Los Angeles have confirmed receiving donations ranging from $100,000 to $250,000, often without public acknowledgement. Michael Douglas doesn't give to build an image. He gives because it aligns with the way he lives today, steady, grounded, and focused on impact rather than attention. And that same quiet purpose shapes the private rhythm waiting behind the doors of his Irvington home. Personal life. Away from the limelight, Michael Douglas and his family live quietly in Irvington, New York, a peaceful home overlooking the Hudson River, where life finally moved at his natural pace. Most mornings are simple: a walk by the river, a light breakfast, or a slow start to the day next to Catherine Zeta-Jones. No fuss, no rush, just the comfort of a place to breathe. Family remains at the center of everything. Dylan and Karis visit often, filling the house with the warm, familiar chaos he loves. Meals in the garden, long conversations in the kitchen, laughter echoing off the walls. When they travel together, whether through India or Europe, Douglas carries with him the quiet pride of a father who understands that these moments don't always come. The road to him hasn't been smooth. His early relationship with Brenda Vaccaro crumbled under the weight of rising fame. His first marriage to Diandra Luker ended in a public split, and a $45 million settlement that followed him for years. Even his romance with Catherine hit a rough patch in 2013. A brief, acrimonious split. But they found each other again, chose to stay, chose to rebuild. And now they're still going strong, raising a family with more peace than turmoil. These days, Irvington offers him something he never took for granted: silence. Evenings pass slowly. A simple dinner, a quiet movie, or a phone call with Cameron. Fame is no longer his driving force, family is. Tell us which part of Michael Douglas' story resonates most with you. And if you want more authentic, behind-the-scenes looks at the lives of Hollywood's biggest names, be sure to like, subscribe, and let us know who you want to see next.